Welcome to Life Fit with DVD. I'm back again with another video, and today I wanted to talk about perfection. And this is something that I struggle with, continue to struggle with, and has really been a hallmark of my life. And although I still have perfectionist tendencies, I also think I manage it pretty well overall. And it doesn't get the best of me like it used to. And I thought it would be worth sharing some of the things that have helped me get around it, get over it, just get through it, right? So, the first thing when you're encountering your own perfectionist tendencies is that you obviously want to do well. You want to do something to you're the best of your ability. And sometimes you have limitations. There's things that are in your way that you might not be able to control, whether that be you don't have enough time or money or energy or resources of any sort. There might be people in your way. There might be things that you're battling, right? Some of your own physical limitations or psychological, mental limitations, right? So, in the battle of perfection, there's always going to be something that's holding us back. That is going to be a detriment that we can either overcome, right, or we won't. And we'll take a step back and feel worse potentially about what we were doing in the first place. So, my first tip around perfectionism is to not beat yourself up, right? Um, there's all sorts of things that we want to do, and when we fail to meet our expectations, our own expectations, um, that can hurt, right? We want to do a good job, and we're compelled to do so, and it might not even be for our own perfectionism, but potentially because we want to do a good job for other people. And if we don't do a good job, well, it feels like we're letting other people down. And maybe they have been hard on us. They want us to do better. And in this process of figuring out whether you should beat yourself up or not, well, of course, don't. Show yourself some compassion. Don't get overwhelmed by it. Try not to. And separate yourself from the emotions around whatever it is you're trying to do. Now, if it's something that somebody else wants you to do and you've kind of taken on that objective or task or burden or whatever, and you're doing it for them, you need to be realistic and you need to have that compassion where you're not just having compassion for yourself, but you need to also be communicating what your own limitations are to other people, what your own boundaries are. Do you have the energy for this thing? If you're trying to do it for somebody else, is it an emotion towards this thing that isn't necessarily your own? Like you're beating yourself up, but it's not out of your own desire to do this thing, but somebody else's desire for you, right? It's important, once again, as I always say, to take a step back and evaluate whether the things that you're spending these resources, your resources on, the time, the money, the energy, are something that you want. And you're not going through this cycle of perfection, failing to meet your expectations, and then beating yourself up from it and feeling worse overall, right? This is something that I have done in my past, that realizing this and being more gentle with my own self has helped me significantly. So, another big thing is setting realistic expectations. Now, this isn't, when I say that, I almost, in my head, I'm like, set realistic expectations. What is that even supposed to mean, right? And that, all that is breaking things down to all of its components, right? If you have one task where Where I am struggling right now with my own perfection is editing the workout video that I'm trying to get up here on YouTube. And I am getting a little bit overwhelmed with all the technicalities of not knowing how to do certain things, certain animations, not knowing really how I want to do it, color scheme, things that really don't matter that much, right? Ultimately, I want to get something up. I want to get something done. And I've been beating myself up because I haven't been doing it on a regular basis of taking just one step every day to try and get it to where I want it to be. So, in the effort to battle through my own perfectionism, is that I'm trying to break it down. Where today, all I want to do is get one thing done on it. And it doesn't even have to. Wait a minute. Backing up even further. All I want to do is be looking at my Adobe Pro or Adobe Premiere and just going through it and seeing, okay, what do I need to add, right? If I even if I don't even do anything, at least I opened it up, I looked at it, and that's a success. If I get one thing done, if I get one title screen or graphic or whatever in a way that I want it to be, it's a success. It's a success, and I should feel good about that, right? And sometimes that is what it takes. You need to break things down to its smallest component where all you're doing is showing up. And that is enough to feel good about keeping going. Because between the breaking things down and then beating myself up because I feel like I didn't do enough, that alone can send me into this downward spiral where I feel like I'm not getting anything done, and I start questioning, is this what I want? Is this what I want to do? And ultimately it comes back, yes, my energy, I have the energy to continue to do it. However, it's not always there. There's, because of the technical things, because of the things that, well, once again, my own limitations of I don't know how to video edit that well, right? But I want to do this because I want to know what it takes to do this, right? Before I outsource it to anybody else. And I think this is a good thing. But once again, it's a battle. It's a battle through the perfectionism to know your limits, to know what you're good at, what you have the energy for, and what is going to motivate you to keep going forward. Because ultimately, with your the motivation and the battle around perfectionism, it is a feeling of, did I do enough today? Did I just do one thing to succeed? To take a step in the direction that I want, that my energy wants me to go to, right? So, along those lines, right, you want to prioritize. And this is another step where when you're battling the perfectionism, what is the most important thing that you can do, right? What is the thing that's going to give you more energy in your process of getting everything done? Because what you want to do is start stacking habits, as some other people call them. And you want to build habits that are going to lead to more energy and more success. When I say success, I mean like a feeling that feels good, right? Something that is going to benefit your body, your mind, your spirit, that is going to lead to more things, that more resources that can battle through this perfectionism. And once again, this becomes like a stacking of habits. What are the good things that you're doing already? And put them in an order where you can do them on a regular basis, right? Prioritize these things that are going to make you feel better and also are important. And you will then begin to generate momentum around all of these things that you're doing in a positive and productive way that is going to feel right for you. Because I know with a lot of people, it is hard to feel like you have the energy to do things. It's hard to stay positive around things that it doesn't feel like you're making much progress. But that is why it's so important to direct it back within and make it an intrinsic motivation as much as possible, meaning the motivation comes from within you. Praise yourself when you did a good job on something or you just showed up. Be happy when you get something done. And of course, celebrate. You feel good about your accomplishments, even if they're small, right? And if you are going to reward yourself, try to reward yourself with something that is going to lead to more positive and productive habits. Because ultimately, you don't want to be eating a whole pint of ice cream or something like that if you're have these health goals or whatever, and then you eat the ice cream and then you feel tired and lethargic afterwards, right? And then it's like, oh well, I did this workout today, but I probably gave it all back with all the ice cream you ate. So maybe if you're going to reward yourself, give yourself a nice treat that is smaller or is something that's a little bit healthier. Strawberries, fruit. I love fruit, so that's always a good one for me. But yeah, so these are some tips that help me with my own perfectionism. I mean, there's others such as setting a deadline, but that doesn't work for me as much because once again it adds to the expectations where I have an expectation that I'm going to get this done at this point in time. And I know that motivates some people. You set a deadline and it works. But for me, I set that deadline, and then if I fail to meet that deadline, I beat myself up. So that doesn't work for me as well. But in this process, you want to be forgiving. You want to accept if you make mistakes. You want to be forgiving to yourself in the process of getting better. Because ultimately, it is more about showing up than it is being perfect, right? Because nothing is ever perfect. And this is why I always comes back to being life fit, right? You're not going to ever achieve perfection as much as everybody wants to believe that they can. Even in video games, right? If you are perfect on something, that doesn't mimic the real world, right? Because being perfect at something is a subjective thing. I'm certainly not perfect at making these videos, but all I'm trying to do is show up and share what I have experienced and what works for me. Because ultimately, it is going to be different for everybody. So embracing the imperfection and realizing that there's no such thing. There's no such thing as being perfect, but to really just work through gradually building momentum towards the things that you want. And back to what I was saying, though, was that it's impossible to have the perfect body or the perfect relationship or the perfect job or whatever, but focus on the things that are working well, that you feel good about. And if you have a good feeling about them and your energy is constantly directed towards them and it feels good, then keep pursuing them. And the things that don't feel good or you start beating yourself up over, try to let them go. Try to just forgive yourself, accept your own mistakes, and move on. Because ultimately, tomorrow is another day, and it's another opportunity to build yourself up to where you want to be. So hopefully you're here to build yourself up, to be more life fit, generate good habits with your lifestyle, with your fitness, and to know yourself better in the process. That is ultimately what all of this is about, is to get to know yourself to a point where you are aware of yourself and who you are and the direction you're going. So if you need help with any of this, your own goals, your own accountability, I would love to help. Let me know if in the comments if you would like my help. Otherwise, a like and subscribe would be amazing. I would greatly appreciate that since I'm trying to get this channel off the ground. And that's it for today. So until next time, talk to you later, and